Hello and welcome to Game or Not to Game. First game we're looking at is called Lumen. It's basically this light pattern that you reflect in different directions in order to have the light travel across the stars on the board and then ultimately get to your end goal. So it's not a particularly difficult game. I'm not on the first level. I'm not very far in the game either, but I'd say it's pretty family friendly and accessible to all ages. So feel free to give it a try. So as you can see, you're just kind of rotating the mirrors and the light continues to travel around the board. I've got 1 star and I fiddle around until I eventually get all 3. You can actually finish the levels without hitting all 3 of the stars, but you just get like a lower star rating or a lower score in that particular case. So yeah, feel free to check it out. It gets a little redundant, which is why I wouldn't give it a particularly high score if I had to rate it. But for the sake of a fun little puzzle here and there, I think it's a pretty good choice. So next, obviously, as you can see, is the MasterChef game. I'd say it's much more kid-oriented, just because of the way it's designed and the graphics ultimately. But there's a little bit of amusement to it. Basically, you move things around and you try to precisely time and slice everything so that it comes out properly. So I feel like there's definitely a lot to improve, or just a lot to be desired, especially right at the beginning of the game. I feel like you might need to unlock more ingredients in order to ultimately do everything to the best possible way it could be done, more or less. But it is funny because I actually do real cooking, so I've had to peel lots and lots of carrots. I don't do much with tomatoes, honestly, but I peeled like 2.5 pounds of carrots for some steak and salmon Alfredo, probably right around the time I was doing this original recording. So It is amusing. Obviously, I slice up the carrots, probably even thinner than this particular MasterChef recipe is doing. But at the end of the day, it is an amusing little game if you like cooking or fiddling with mobile games in general. Then yeah, it's got some typical timing-oriented things. I didn't quite get it, I don't think, at the beginning what exactly it was looking to have me do. But more or less, oh yeah, did I boil over? Yeah, I did. Because again, I haven't played this game too much, and the directions, or I don't know, it's somewhat intuitive, but at the same time, it still wasn't wholly clear what it was expecting the player to do. I've only made probably 3 to 5 recipes on this game, and I've probably just about had enough. So, like I said, it's definitely geared for younger players, but there's nothing wrong with entertaining yourself a little bit if you want to give it a try, or if you're certainly a fan of the MasterChef series. So this next game is called GalagaWars. It is part of the Apple Arcade group of games that I will be playing real briefly just to have an overview of random mobile games that I come across in my free time. The main problem with this game is the ratio of beginning the game to the difficulty of the game and the overall progression is tremendously broken. So even though I've replayed the initial levels numerous times to get the coins, to do these upgrades that you're looking at right here, at the end of the day, my ship still isn't good enough, and you just can't move fast enough to avoid everything. But some of the superpowers or some of the power-ups that you can get throughout the levels, they're tremendously overpowered. So that's how you end up really beating these levels. And you can also skip to various points in the game once you've accessed them once. So there are some handy features, but basically I do prefer some of the other versions of this same kind of alien invasion game or bug game, asteroid game, whatever you want to call it. This one pretty much just got way too tough, way too quickly. So there wasn't enough appeal to really keep you playing in the game, just because the numerous times that I've died pretty much almost right after starting, it just kind of wears you out. And so yeah, there's that overpowered boost right there. It's very handy because you can just run into stuff and for once not die, unlike literally every other time. One feature that I would recommend is just having your ship with multiple lives earlier on, because you can actually get to a point in the game where if your ship does get collided into by a bug or a blast or something, you actually won't have to reset the entire part of the level or progress that you've made. But the point to get to that in the game is far enough in that I had already quit and stopped wasting my time redoing the same level several times. I've actually came back to this game on numerous occasions just to see if I would have better luck on a different day. And at the end of the play session, I didn't. I still pretty much died very early on in the game. I don't think I've ever actually gotten past like level 3 or 4. You might be able to see like my high score. Not right now, maybe later. It's only about twice the score that I have now. I think yeah, I was actually doing a pretty, oh no, 3 times the score that I had at that moment. So I was actually doing a decent run, but this game just really gets way too challenging way too quickly, and it didn't really appeal to my interest to game or to continue playing when the delaying of the inevitable death is just by fractions of minutes as opposed to, oh, well, if I can play nonstop for 10 minutes, well, yeah, I would probably do that repeatedly. And then, sure, it would still be painful when you finally die or you run out of life. But the fact that you can die in matter of seconds to minutes consistently at the early levels, it just really defeats the purpose of playing this game for me. And again, I did just, I think, unlock this new ship. So it does have some bonuses and some other powers, but now I would have to go repeat all the new or the basic levels again to get the coins to re-upgrade it and get all those boosts again. So at this point, I haven't decided to play the game enough for all that, but I do believe that they actually have made some updates since when I originally downloaded the game, because it was significantly more frustrating when I started playing versus when I went back to play it more recently and ultimately did this screen recording. So if you want to check it out, or if you're really good at this kind of game, go for it, but don't have your expectations or your hopes tremendously high. And if you do die, just know it was inevitable and you didn't delay it very much. But yeah, like I said, there is some novelty just with experimenting with the different ships, the different powers, and potentially the different backdrops and monsters that spawn. But at the end of the day, I would be pretty confident that there are better games to play that have a more reasonable progression of difficulty. So that's really all I have to say about this game. I do play it for another 6 minutes or so here, so feel free to stay tuned and see how long it takes me to die. Yeah. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. So yeah, you might have just witnessed a bit of the conclusion of that last boss battle. Oh, sorry. Here it is. I actually just zoomed to the wrong part of the video. So here's the beginning of the boss battle. I do believe I actually managed to beat the boss this time. Ironically, the bosses aren't actually really that difficult of the fight. Oh, no, sorry. I died. I could have sworn that I didn't die this particular time, but I guess I had a life left. So the many times that I had done that before, I didn't have any lives, so you would have to restart basically from the beginning of the game again and defeat all the puny little monsters once again. But normally, when I get to this point, I actually infrequently died, and I did pretty well, just because I guess the way the boss is not as hard as just having random swarms of monsters appear from random places quite rapidly. So basically, it is quite possible to dodge all of the attacks just because they're on a more pattern-oriented basis. So this time I did actually succeed in getting past the boss. I'll move to the next level, and if this is the first time you'd be doing this, you're actually able to warp, I guess, to the Sector 2 or Sector 3 after you beat that particular boss. I think you might have to clear like the entire Sector 3 in order to warp back to it, but moral of the story is you do get to save some time if you're not bad. So there's my high score. Thanks for watching.